If we haven't met, yeah, I'm Becky Aste, and I'm the CEO and head coach of I Do Breakthrough. It's an intimacy restoration program that I run. So I'm a trauma informed somatic coach that teaches women how to restore thriving intimacy in their marriage in just 8 weeks by moving trauma out of their body. And the background of my story, just for context. So I lost my dad suddenly to a heart attack my first year of college. And Sebastian, my now husband, he was the first best friend that I made the month after my dad's death. And so we started dating that year. We dated for 3 years through college, got married right out of college, and we each brought a ton of baggage in to the marriage. And we got married as babies right out of graduation that we were, entirely unaware of how much we were bringing in. So when we were good, we were good. But pretty early on, I noticed a dynamic forming that at the time I would call chase and run. I would chase, he would run. Later, I sought out help and healing, and I picked up different labels, as the years went by to describe our dance, terms like codependency and addiction. I was the clinger, stage 4 clinger, and I was needy, and I would go to control and stress, and then he would escape and isolate and distance. And this dance just kept picking up speed over the years. And I spent literally the first 10 years of my marriage inhaling a ridiculous amount of information from workshops, books, research, podcasts, spiritual advisors. We were in and out of couples and individual therapy for an entire decade. All of that to find ourselves 10 years later, separated and on the verge of divorce, and 2 kids by that time. And that's when I found an online coach who taught me how to save my marriage by repairing my nervous system and moving trauma out of my body. So fast forward, legit the biggest miracle that's ever happened to me. We resurrected our marriage from the dead. We've repaired, healed, forgave, grown. We're not perfect by any means, but we're stronger now than ever. And it is my greatest passion and honor to pass this work on to women who were as hopeless or are as hopeless as I was. And so what does that have to do with money? So all of that to say, the unexpected cherry on top from this work that I learned and what it did to my body and my nervous system, it ended up not only saving my marriage, but it was the absolute catalyst to healing money wounds and opening the door to financial breakthrough. So cue JFF. So JFF showed up. So today I'm super excited to chat money with you and really to share just the one shift that ended up setting me free from 2 decades of spinning my wheels financially in attempts to crack open the door to financial freedom so I could finally experience what a stable, lasting lifestyle feels like when you get your money in order. And I'm still very new to it, but the difference of how I feel and the progress that's been made, I'm like, okay, this is not coincidence or accident. So I'm going to share my screen now. The title of what I got for you is 3 Secrets to Thriving Financial Intimacy. It's Valentine's Day, so we're going to chat intimacy with money. So, okay. Also, I just want to say, who was the speaker on Thursday? What was his name? Justin's mentor. Jake? Yeah. He talked all about the nervous system and expanding our capacity to hold money and, not spend it like crazy and to expand it. And I was like, whoa, he's laying down the track. And then 2 days before that, I'm in Kelly Brock's mastermind. And guess what? She surprised us with the theme for this month. Lindsay might know this is finances. And it was all about healing money wounds. And we wrote a letter to money. I was like, stop. This is just like, I don't know what you guys believe in as far as a higher power, but there's some divine orchestration going on. And I just feel like we're all leveling up this month and being prepared to unlock a lot financially. So here's my 3 secrets. What we're going to learn today, the 3 secrets are: secret number 1, the one thing you don't know that's leading to your financial scarcity. Secret number 2, why your hustle mindset could actually be sabotaging your abundance. And secret number 3, how to have unbelievable financial wealth, even if your partner isn't on board. So if you're single and tuning that one out, stay tuned, because if you want to be in a relationship someday or have any kind of conversations that you need to have with another person around money, that'll apply to you too. So we've all tried so many different things, right? Little to no traction or results that come from the attempts we've made to break through financially. And feel free to put in the chat what you've tried outside of JFF. We may have tried advisors at different points or reading books, other coaching groups, podcasts, just searching online. How do I get rich, or how do I have a breakthrough, or how do I make more money? There's so many different things that we've tried, and then we wonder why we're still spinning our wheels. And we all know the stories of, lotto winners, but I thought it'd be fun to share these stats. So 70% of people who win the lottery or get a big windfall actually end up broke in just a few years. And 30% of those winners or inheritance, people go on to declare bankruptcy. 60 to 65% of NBA players go broke within the first 5 years of retirement. And then we think of all the people that were like, oh, they've made it. They're a big success. They're like rich, just bleeding money out of their ears. But there's so many people. It was fascinating to me to hear Michael Jackson. He was $400 million in debt when he died. Nicolas Cage, he blew 150 million, had IRS tax liens on his properties, and owed 6 million from failing to pay his taxes. Floyd Mayweather, the boxing guy, 22 millions of debt owed to the IRS. Mike Tyson declared bankruptcy, and he was behind on his child support. 50 Cent, 32.5 million in debt, unpaid child support, bankruptcy. Toni Braxton, there's like very few women. I'm like, hey, why is this all men? And then Toni Braxton, founder, filed twice for bankruptcy. So all that to say, we're painted this picture, and we don't know what the roots are or the behind the scenes, but the roots and the behind the scenes of what I just shared is what a lot of us can relate to, and it's our reality. If you struggle with finances, which all of us at one point have, if we're here now, or maybe we've made traction, I don't know where you are in your JFF progress, but all of us, it's really not our fault. Shame is one of the biggest things that buries us and keeps us stuck. And just looking at our society as a whole, I just see us caught in this like collective epidemic level trance of shame. It's not just I struggle with finances, but it's this second arrow that comes around and pierces us too, that says I suck because I struggle at finances, or I'm dumb because I can't figure this out, or I'm bad because I'm not stewarding my wealth. And that's what keeps us stuck, even if we know all the things and learn all the things and inhale all the information. So limiting our financial journey to cognitive faculties alone, just things up in our head, like talking, listening, learning more information, it'll keep us spinning our wheels for years at best. And at worst, losing everything that we are bringing in. So let's get to the bottom of it. Secret number one, the one thing that you don't know that's leading to your financial scarcity, your nervous system. Jake, right, was his name, paved the way. There's so much I geek out about this now that I can't wait to share with you. And I'm going to not be able to share it all. It's going to be a short recording, but and my daughter, I gave her YouTube. So if she interrupts me, hold on. Go for it. Okay. So have you guys ever heard of the book, The Body Keeps the Score? This is like the theme of my coaching program. If I were to nail everything down to one thesis, our body keeps the score of what we've been through. The trauma, the abuse, the neglect, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it keeps the score of all of that and shows itself in different ways, like headaches, like muscle tension, like different joint pain or stomach bloating, all of these things that we're typically like, oh, it's weird. Like, let me pop an Advil, get rid of that headache. What I teach my clients is that our physical symptoms could be ways that our body is trying to communicate to us the root of the pain that we just need to soothe or heal, or a need that needs to be met. And when I signed up for JFF, I got a copy. I don't know if everyone got this, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And he was talking all about your money subconscious blueprint. And it was exactly what I had just freshly learned, which unlocked everything in my marriage. So seeing him write about this in his book, I was like, oh, this is an aha moment for me. I was like, yes, this JFF group is speaking my language. I understand this. Okay, Justin gets deep. He's not about the Band-Aid tips and tricks, but he understands that it needs to go deeper than just strategy. It needs to reach the subconscious blueprint of what we're wired to receive and what we're wired to believe and what we're wired to call in when it comes to our financial wealth. All things that have just been handed to us, since childhood. So, there's so much Band-Aid tips out there. If you just do a simple online search of like how to get rich, you're going to find nothing but Band-Aid tips. Nowhere, I tried it, you can try it. Nowhere will you find the need to repair your nervous system or rewire your brain or remap your subconscious blueprint of your beliefs around money. But what you will find are things that are true, but mean nothing if your nervous system doesn't have the capacity to hold and receive it. So things like that we've all heard, right? Establish goals, destroy your debt, build up a savings, start investing, diversify your portfolio, add multiple streams of income. It's like, cool, get it. Why can't I do it? Why do I know it and I can't stick to it? What's wrong with me? That shame comes in. So this is what I want to talk about. Our capacity to thrive and stick with it starts with our soil. By soil, I mean the state of our nervous system. Think about this. If you were to throw a seed on concrete, what would happen? Maybe it would fall between a crack and a little thing like this would pop up, but more likely than not, nothing's going to happen. And this is where I was for years with things I was learning about money. Like I graduated from my church's Dave Ramsey course. I read his book. Me and my husband met with financial advisors. I'd call friends of mine who were better than me with money for advice. I listened to podcasts, did workshops, all the things. And what I saw was no matter how much our salary increased year after year, we were still living paycheck to paycheck and dipping into savings month after month. So on paper, our income was going up over the years, but in our bank account, we kept being like, where the hell is the money? And it wasn't until I did work on my nervous system the year before I found JFF that was like the perfect, like, pooh, okay, this is breakthrough. This is making sense. Things are starting to change. And I want to give it to you all today. So to start, we got to assess our soil. Where's our nervous system at? If it's concrete, like where I was, all of this amazing fire value that JFF has to offer won't mean crap if your nervous system isn't set up to receive it. It'll all go in one ear and out the other, or hang out in your mind bank, just waiting for you to expand your nervous system enough to wake up and receive all of that latent information. That's what it was like for me. Is like everything I'd learned and collected over the years, it wasn't wasted. But when I healed and repaired my body of all the things that I had gone through that it had kept score of, it was like all that latent information all of a sudden started to affect change and actually, have breakthrough. And so I want to invite you to try something just as an experiment, just an observation to collect information about where your nervous system is currently when it comes to money. So if you could grab a pen and paper or a Word document, notes in your phone, whatever, all I want you to do right now is log into your bank account. Like right now, literally log in and look at the numbers. That's it. I'm not going to be transferring money. We're not paying any bills. Just log in, look at the numbers, and take a minute to write down what sensations come up in your body, what emotions arise, and what thoughts flood your brain. And you're welcome to share it in the chat if you feel bold enough to. What comes up for you? How do you feel in your body? Does your throat close up? Does your body get hot? Are your pit sweating? Like, does your breath get tight? Is there, a headache? Like, just notice what symptoms come up in your body, and then any emotions or thoughts that run through you. And I can't see the chat right now, but I'm sure you guys can benefit from hearing, what comes through for each other. This is just interesting. Let's observe this. And so this is what I teach all my clients. Okay. When it comes to relationships, I teach them the number one barrier blocking intimacy between you and your husband is unhealed trauma, causing an imbalance in your nervous system and a repellent energy. So with money, we could literally say the same thing, just swap husband for finances. The number one barrier blocking intimacy between you and your finances is just unhealed trauma, causing an imbalance in your nervous system and a repellent energy. It's, we hear about energy too. I just want to say this. Kelly Brock is coming soon. I forget when, but you'll hear probably way more from her. She's way more the expert, but we hear it and we think it's this like woo thing, like woo hippie, or just kind of out there abstract. And it's actually very quantifiable. And there's so much research on the actual energy waves that we emit based on the alignment, safety, and harmony of our nervous system. And when I interviewed my husband about this year, about his side of our story, and asked him, what was the turning point for you in our marriage? When did you start feeling the tides turn? He said it was the difference in my energy. He could feel a different vibe and he could feel confidence. He could sense groundedness. It wasn't anything new I said or did. It was the state of my nervous system emitting energy waves that said I'm a safe person for the first time in our life, for the first time in our entire marriage. And so when you're carrying trauma in your body, when your nervous system is on fire or triggered, or if there's just a blueprint that you've carried since childhood when it comes to money, you might as well be holding up a sign to money that says, I can't be trusted. And money's like, I'm gonna go the other direction. And then when you heal your nervous system, suddenly money's like, I feel a different vibe. Your stress is down. I feel confidence because you're tracking daily. I sense groundedness. I feel safe to come to you now. So can I get a volunteer to demonstrate how to calm down your nervous system? I can't see. Yay, Amy. Okay. Amy, could you unmute real quick?
Sure.
Awesome. So Amy, can I ask you, were you able to log into your bank account?
Uh-huh.
Okay. What came up for you? I didn't see if you put it in the chat.
My shoulders tighten, my shoulders drop like forward, and my neck tightens, and like my whole body just tenses, and I just have overwhelming feelings of defeat and despair.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because I feel that trying so hard and not succeeding thing.
Yep. Yeah, I'm so glad. Like, I'm not glad that that's where you are, but I'm glad that you're the volunteer. Because if it was somebody like, oh, that was easy, I do that every day, this wouldn't really demonstrate much. So are you like me in the sense that you typically avoid the tracking, or like you don't want to look at the numbers? Is that typically your MO?
I would say about 50% of the time.
Okay, cool. So this is something I want to offer you. If anyone can relate to whatever it is that you are like, this is not helping me financially, I'm stuck, I'm spinning my wheels. Maybe it's, I want to track and I notice I keep avoiding it. Whatever it is that comes up for you, it's really just your body in that moment is getting triggered. And your body's number one job is always to protect you from danger. And for most of us, what's behind the door of our online banking literally feels dangerous. We're like, am I going to see that overdraw again? Is it going to be lower than I hoped for? And it's really just your survival brain trying to take the wheel and drive you to safety. But this driver is not serving you anymore, right? That's why we're here. It's been keeping us stuck for years. And this is where we can come in and say, hey, you're not in danger. You're actually safe. And this is a way to do it. So the 5 senses is just a grounding technique that in any moment of trigger, use this for money or other places in your life when you're triggered. You just name 5 things that you see. So Amy, what are 5 things you see in your view right now?
Pictures of my kids, a clock, a TV, plants, and my water cup.
Awesome. And then what are 4 things that you can physically touch or feel on your body right now?
My chair, my keyboard, my pad of paper and pen, my phone.
Awesome. All right. How about 3 things that you can hear around you?
The rain on the skylights, the furnace running, and traffic.
Awesome. Is there anything you can smell? Two things you can smell?
Is my breath one of them?
Mhm.
Can that be one of them? And my it smells, I think I've gotten immune to it, but it smells like teenage boys in here.
I love it. I have like no sense of smell, so I usually am like, nothing. I just feel air going through my nose.
Yeah.
And then is there anything that you can taste, last thing you ate or drank, anything on your lips?
Some cheese puffs.
Get a
That I,
girl.
yeah, that I just ate.
Get it with those cheese puffs.
Yeah, I mean, like I went to town. So
So noticing your body, is there any level of softening, or did that change your emotional state or body at all?
I don't feel as tense.
Mm-hmm.
All like from head to toe, I don't feel as tense.
Mm-hmm. So this is something, even when my kids are having tantrums, I'll be like, Anna, name 5 things you can see. Hey, I see my doll. Like you'll see her start going from this flight, fight, survival response into this, it's called the rest, digest, safety state. And so I literally, when I was starting JFF, thank you, Amy, so much.
You're
Everybody cheers for Amy. That was amazing. Amy with the cheese puffs.
welcome.
Yeah, when I started wanting to track daily, I would have this like panic attack. Like I had literally a huge stack of bills that I had avoided for the past year. And I had to do these grounding techniques. For me, this is one of my favorites. But you can Google grounding techniques. I mean, there's a million. It's just something you can do in the moment that takes you from that survival danger state into safety and holding yourself and being like, I am not gonna die by opening up my bank account. It's actually gonna help me get closer to where I want to go. Okay, so that is secret number 1. Secret number 2, why your hustle mindset could actually be sabotaging your abundance. And really, it's because shame is the quickest way to kill growth, right? We talked about shame a little bit, and hustle culture is built on the premise of not enough. And I love Justin's example even last week. He was sharing like how successful he is, but so much of it he's realizing is out of this trauma response to proving to his dad that he can be successful. And what Jake's working with him on is like, dude, you're only going to become more successful. Well, let's do it from a different place, a different intention, a different foundation. When you're stuck on hustle culture from this premise of I'm trying to prove myself, which was my MO for years too. When I got the call that my dad died, my mom, I remember the last words that she said before hanging up was, but Becky, you can't quit college. You have to keep going. You have to make your daddy proud. She said something like that. And so cue the next 15 years of hustling, because God forbid I like disrespect his memory. I felt like I had to prove myself. And so the nervous system repair helped move so much of that out of my body and rewire. And then, Kelly's program, if you know Kelly Brock, she's all about learning how to build a business out of that place of groundedness and healed, overflowing fulfillment, not scarcity. So anyway, hustle culture, it can lead to burnout. And I was so freaking pumped, even this week, hearing Justin taking retreats and healing his trauma and watching Sports Center in between calls, because I'm like, we need you for the long run. And I trust he's going to stick around because of the work he's putting in on this deep cellular level. For me, my hustle mindset, it was checking all the boxes on paper. I was promoted to the top 2% of my company. We bought our first house. I earned my career car. And I learned how to make more money, but behind the scenes, I didn't know how to keep it. I refused to look at it. I was terrified to track it or open my bank account. I woke up literally, guys, every single morning. First thing, I'd be stressed about money. And then the shame would start swirling around my avoidance of it. Like, oh, what's wrong with you? You're so bad at this. And I had these deeply ingrained beliefs that were given to me from childhood that I never took the time to step back from and realize that I could separate myself from. Messages I'd always heard, like rich people are greedy, or we can't afford that, or money is the root of all evil, or we don't talk about money with other people. JFF is the first place that I'm like, wow, these people just talk openly about this all the time. So starting to talk about all of this, like rewiring that was going on behind the scenes around money for me, and talking with my friends, and then JFF eventually, it led me to begin rewriting and rewiring. which is the journey I'm still on right now. But I'll tell you this, in all these pictures, I was hustling my soul away, had no time for my family. My priorities were so out of alignment, and my body was literally shutting down. And yet, month after month, we'd be continually draining our savings because we had no control over our finances. And so now with JFF, I'm teary eyed grateful to report that I haven't missed a freaking day of tracking my budget since starting whatever module that was. And my stress surrounding my money went from a 10 to a 1. My hope surrounding my money has gone from a 1 to a 10, and I've increased my revenue by 50%. I'm working less hours than I ever have in my life. Nowhere near Becca, Britt, Justin, all of them, but I know I've unlocked something huge, and I'm 100% certain I'll never have to worry about being poor again. That chapter is over for me, and it's over for all of us in JFF. So I'm going to use, how do you pronounce her name? Liba, to illustrate a point, because on Thursday's coaching call, she was so radically vulnerable. And if you missed it, she said, I feel guilty because I haven't been coming to the coaching calls because I haven't been tracking my budget. And I just feel bad that I'm falling short. And when she said that, she's like in some airport in Portugal. She's like cutting in and out. And I just wanted to seriously stop the meeting and just have everyone stand up and freaking clap for her, because that right there is where I know the power is. A plant will die, right, without sunlight, straight up shrivel and die. And we will financially die without exposing ourselves to what can nourish us. And so she opened herself up. She exposed herself to the light in that moment. And in a moment where she felt so weak, that was actually power in its finest, because shame has zero power when you bring it to the light of a safe, radically accepting space. The woman who has practically a monopoly on shame research, Brene Brown, love her, has spearheaded the last 3 decades of groundbreaking exploration on shame, empathy, and success. And the conclusion from all of her research is that the fastest antidote to shame is authenticity combined with empathetic acceptance. I'll say that again. The fastest antidote to shame is authenticity combined with empathetic acceptance. So with what we have here in this community, I noticed right out the gate that it was a safe space. And I decided right out the gate, I'm going to show myself. And I did it for me. I told Steph, I was like, I'm sorry in advance. I might blow up the chat and be that annoying client, but I know this is what helps. So I've done it, and I've shared my struggles and my victories and my questions, because I sensed right away I can do this here. And I know from experience the power of me bringing my truth to a space that is radically judgment-free, where they don't bat an eye when you tell them all of the terrible skills you have with finances. I just knew that this was the container where I could really heal my money wounds. And JFF, it literally is the perfect conditions to thrive in, starting with Justin, trickling down. It's nothing but transparency and vulnerability and acceptance, affirmation, support, and then, of course, the fire material from the modules and the coaching and the guest speakers and all of that. So we're going to take like 3 minutes right now. And I want to invite you to grab a pen and paper or your Word document, whatever it is. And we're going to get intimate with money right now. We're going to make a freaking Valentine for it. Okay. We're going to write a letter to money. And I'll give you some guiding questions. And you can take more time to do this later, obviously, but just to get a feel for this, starting off with your letter, you can start by saying, dear money, or, dear wealth, whatever you want to say. How have you treated money in the past and why? Just kind of share, like, this is how I've habitually treated you, and this is why. And then sharing what you're sorry for. What did you think was true, but you're now beginning to question? And how would you like the relationship to change going forward with money? So for time's sake, the other questions, I'll get the replay of this, but you can finish the letter just sharing, what you envision doing together with money and writing how you've typically felt about money and how you'd like to feel from here on out. And guys, I invite you to share this in a safe space. It does something to our brain to read our heart on paper out loud to somebody. There's something about the audible processing of sharing it live with someone, but if you aren't able to do that or don't know who to do that with, I would challenge you to do it, to record a video of you reading your letter and even post it in the JFF group. I'm going to do that just so you can hear what my money letter sounded like. And so if you want to, I invite you to. And if that makes you want to throw up, don't traumatize yourself. Maybe even just writing this letter is huge, right? Maybe even just looking at that bank account is huge. And I invite you to anchor that in and celebrate that and share with us, whatever big or baby step you took so we can celebrate you along the way. Okay, so letter to money on Valentine's Day. The last secret I want to dish is how to have unbelievable financial wealth, even if your partner is on board. And the answer I would say is just learning the language of your intuition, because every partnership, every marriage is so different. It's not a one size fits all. You can only be as close to someone as they are to themselves. And yes, that's me and my husband. And yes, we wore sneakers on our wedding day, indoor soccer shoes to be exact, because that's how we started becoming friends. But, if somebody in the partnership is not as ready as you to heal their money wounds or to be, in touch with that or to go down that path, all you have the power to change is yourself. But in that, there's so much capacity to shift the dynamic. I remember when I started getting into this and learning all of my money wounds, I was like, Sebastian, what are your money wounds? And he was like, I don't have any. I was like, you're in denial, like from the movie Encanto. You're in denial. And then now when we talk about it, he's been able to identify, oh, okay, I get it. I see it. But it wasn't me trying to change him. It was just me staying in my lane, learning what I could and sharing in a way that just going off my gut and knowing what would be too much or too little, I would share with him. Intuition, I'm going to skip through this right now because if Kelly's coming next week, she's going to share a lot about it. But it's really just, it's knowing from this instinctive feeling rather than conscious reasoning. And this is what can really lead you when it comes to money in your partnership with your husband or whoever you're sharing finances with. There's a lot of things that corrode intuition when it comes to trauma. So if you're somebody who questions yourself a lot, you like, how do I even trust my gut? What does that mean? That's where I was. And especially if you have a history of abuse or gaslighting, any manipulation or deceit in relationships you've been in, or emotional neglect, it is really natural. And there's a reason why there's a lack of self-trust. And there's also a way to build it back up. And so nervous system repair is huge in healing your intuition and creating a connection with it, maybe in the first place. Just the self-awareness and acceptance in safe places, like being able to speak your truth and be vulnerable, like we talked about in point number 2, and slowing down, silence, solitude, like Justin going on his retreat last week. That's how you're able to really hear your voice within. And it's scary to do that if your nervous system has been through a lot. So that's why we start with calming it down. Okay, so intimacy, financial intimacy with your partner, it's going to be unique. Right now, our planning meetings are like, hey, babe, this is what we have left in this. It's not this like sit down, let's like start the clock. Like that just was continually leading to disconnection for me and my husband. It was not working. And so I was like, okay, if that's how it works for one person, it's not going to work for us. And we're just going to do what we can with our, situation. So the last exercise that I'll leave you with, just to do on your own because of time's sake, this is an intuition exercise. And, take like 5-10 minutes just to answer these questions when you're able to just be quiet and in solitude and silence. And the questions that I'll leave you with are, looking back at the end of your life, what do you want to be said about you as a person? How can money sustain an environment that supports those qualities that you hope to be said about you? What do you know to be true about these next 3 months moving forward? What do you know you've said no to over these next 3 months? And what do you know you've said yes to? What, if anything, do you know you need to say or do regarding your partner? And those are my 3 secrets,